Girlfriend of 11 years died of cancer. Found out she has a new BF. Asterisk, my girlfriend of 11 years just died a couple of days ago due to the complications of cancer. For the most part, we had a very loving relationship. We grew our careers together. We had a vision of where we want to be in life, and we even planned on what we want when we grow old. We do have fights. There were suspicious parts on her side that shook the foundation of our relationship a few times, but we went past that. One of which was when she wanted to end things because she was tired due to the pandemic, but we were able to fix it. Last 2024, because of her family issues with money, I got frustrated and said that we should probably break up, but after a few days, I talked to her because I can't let her be alone with her family because of their issues. We got back together, but for some reason she don't want to update her side of the family about this. Her reasoning was that, now that I am out of the picture, her family may think that she doesn't have too much money anymore, that they won't ask her for more money. I help her with some of her bills and give to their family too. She loves her family still despite of these toxicity issues that we went and traveled to a different country afterwards. I felt like we were really happy. The start of the year 2025, she had to go to the ER. Because of stomach pain, after a few tests, we were informed that she has cancer. We then proceeded with the treatments. Treatments were done in a different country as the cancer is rare and the medicines are not available in our country. She had to undergo immunotherapy, while not as debilitating as chemo, so there's not much downtime. She went through with it without me and her family's help. She rented a place there. Unfortunately, immunotherapy didn't do much, so she was planning on moving back to the country and check what the doctor's next plans were. During this time, whenever we video call and ask her if I can visit to help her, she was angry and didn't want me to go there. She told me that during those times when she was in treatment that she wasn't happy with me and that we should probably break up. In my mind, I thought it was just the cancer speaking, since I figured she wanted to do things on her own while she can, so I respected that. We still do communicate because I was helping her with some of the costs and paid for some cash loans that we do have a property together, so maybe she was thinking that I'll just subtract everything that she owes to me, but so far we still weren't able to sell our property. Last week, I was still be able to talk to her and video chat. But at this point she was crying because she is in pain. I tried to ask her if I can visit and she just got mad, so I dropped the subject as I don't want to stress someone who is battling her mortality. Then I received the bad news a couple of days after she passed away. I asked her mom if I can visit her. After a few days, I got into their house and saw her. I've been trying to keep my emotions during my flight, but I broke down when I saw her in a casket. I never envisioned something like this in my entire life. I cried my heart out. After speaking with her mom, I interacted with some of the people in the house, and one lady asked me if I knew the guy sitting in the room. This is where my emotions went ape shit. Turns out it was her new boyfriend that she met while having treatments in a different country. At this point, I wasn't angry for some reason. I just thought I will give her a pass at this because she was dying and maybe want to experience different things. I talked to her mom and some of her siblings and I told them that I didn't know, and they also didn't now that we are still together. I asked if I can just leave and go somewhere else. By the way, they arrange her room so I can sleep there. The new boyfriend was sleeping in a hotel near the house, where the wake of my late GF is that I feel so alone because I'm stuck in the room and I don't want to go outside for now because the new BF is there and I want to respect my GF's decision. So I only go outside when he is already not around. He will also not attend the actual interment as he needed to flew to his country, having mixed feelings as the family wants me to attend the interment on Saturday. I'm still here and always wondering the whys. When, where, but I can't get the answer anymore as she is already gone. What did I do wrong? Why didn't I deserve a final goodbye? While I am not perfect, I poured my heart and soul to take care of you, but for some reason I am still not doing enough. Sorry for the long post. Just wanted to get this off my chest. My girlfriend abandoned me while I was in the hospital with cancer and started seeing my best friend. Asterisk, my girlfriend abandoned me while I was in the hospital with cancer and started seeing my best friend. This story is pretty insane, but I need to get it off my chest. I was with a woman for almost 2 years, and looking back, it's clear she had a lot of traits of borderline personality disorder. I was stuck in the classic push-pull cycle. She'd have meltdowns over the smallest things, something at work, or even something minor I said, spiral completely, and no amount of reasoning would calm her down. Then, after days or weeks of chaos, she'd act like nothing happened and want to pretend everything was fine. It was exhausting. It's funny how rose-colored glasses can warp your reality, but that's a lesson learned. Anyway, late 2023, I started having serious back pain. After a lot of tests, doctors finally found a large tumor in my spine that was crushing my spinal cord. On Christmas Eve 2023, I was rushed into emergency surgery to remove it, and I ended up in hospital for 2 months. The tumor had also spread to my shoulder and hip. I nearly lost my ability to walk. While I was in hospital, doctors told me I'd need to undergo radiation and chemotherapy once I had recovered enough from surgery. It was a lot to take in, fighting cancer, learning to walk again, and preparing for brutal treatment. And this is where it gets even worse. While I was in hospital, my girlfriend basically decided she couldn't handle it. She stopped visiting, ghosted me, and pretty much abandoned me while I was literally fighting for my life. I'd try to reach out, but I'd only get cold, short replies until she stopped responding altogether. Not long after I was finally discharged in February 2024, right as I was about to start chemotherapy, my best friend at the time came over and confessed that he and my girlfriend had developed feelings for each other while I was in the hospital. While this was happening, his phone was blowing up with text messages from her freaking out and begging him not to tell me, because her parents would disown her if they found out. And rightfully, so that I can't even describe the rage I felt in that moment. I told him flat out that any ideas he had of getting together with my girlfriend were never going to happen. And when he pushed back, I grabbed a retractable baton I keep stashed by my couch and told him he had 5 seconds to leave my house or I was going to cave his skull in. He bolted. I'm not proud of that, but I'm not ashamed of it either. The next day, she came over herself and confirmed it, told me she had feelings for him, and that he can give me everything, like that was supposed to justify abandoning me in hospital. He is quite well off, and he was obviously love-bombing her with the promise of giving her everything she could ever want in a house in the country. Didn't have her pegged for a gold digger. Long story short, they did get together, but it went downhill fast. All of her volatile behavior transferred over to him, and since he's a narcissistic, misogynistic type, it got very hostile and violent very quickly. Last I heard, she moved out of his place and back in with her parents. I haven't spoken to either of them in over a year. She's sent me the occasional text since, saying she's sorry and that she misses me, but I eventually wrote her a very long letter spelling out exactly what she did and how it made me feel. I basically held up a mirror she couldn't escape from. Today, I'm doing better. I can walk again, mostly, but not without a cane, which is kind of cool in of itself. The cancer is currently stable, and I'm going for regular checkups and PET scans. I'm still not 100%, but I'm alive and I'm moving forward. That I guess I just wanted to get this off my chest, because sometimes it still hits me. I went from being in a 2-year relationship to fighting for my life in hospital to finding out my girlfriend and best friend betrayed me in the middle of all of it. And let's not forget the component of radiation and chemotherapy treatment as the cherry on top. That as of today, 100% of my focus is on myself, my healing, my health, my soul, and my future. I'm interested to know if anyone else has ever experienced something like this or know of any similar stories. TLDR, girlfriend of 2 years abandoned me while I was hospitalized with cancer and started seeing my best friend. They confessed right before I started chemotherapy. Their relationship imploded. I've cut them both off, and I'm recovering and moving on. I, 43M, need to send a letter of thanks to Dyson. I discovered my wife, 49, of 17 years, 18-month affair when I updated our fan filter on the app it uses. Asterisk like the title says. Sorry, I'm posting from my phone. History: married 17 years with no children of our own. She's been divorced once and had 2 daughters that I helped to raise, now 28, 23, prior to our marriage. We've really only had minor bumps and issues, in my opinion. We've had an open door type of communication with each other, whether it be work issues and venting, or sexual issues, or just how we are feeling. Often we will just talk on the couch about life and philosophy in general. I've felt that we had a great connection and a pretty heavy, fulfilling sex life. We are both in good shape and maintain a healthy lifestyle. I work in the medical field and due to things being what they are, have been putting in a decent amount of overtime over the past 5 months. She works in a legal consultancy and has been WFH for the past 5 months, which has made things a bit distant, but on our days off we are tight. Changed the filter on the Dyson fan in our bedroom last night. Asked wife if I could use her phone to update the app in order to reset the change filter alert. Mine was on the charger next to the front door. I noticed she had put on a pattern unlock and kind of wanted to ask her what that was about. As I was finding the app on her phone, a notification for Snapchat popped up. My stomach dropped immediately as I read the small tag. "I'll bring the special toy." It said. My brain understood the words, but my mind just stopped functioning. She asked what was the matter after I guessed several minutes of me just sitting and staring at the bedroom. My wife has an obligatory quarterly out-of-town meeting that puts her 2 states away for 5 days every business quarter. I knew it was about this coming trip Monday. I've perused Reddit for years anonymously. I've read hundreds of stories that began like this, and never once have I thought about it being me that would sit on my bedroom floor and be in such a cold, dumbfounded state. I recovered and said, "Oh, just getting info about the IP and router." That's how the fan communicates, through the app. I have a Chromebook that she logged into Facebook yesterday. I took a week's vacation short notice. My supervisor is a cool chick, and once I laid it out what I may have discovered and have to do, I'm going to need time off. I've been up all night reading her chats. She left to go to the office just now, and I made sure the Google location history was on and Find My Phone was active. I'm so suspicious of everything she does now I can't look at myself in the mirror. She doesn't know I saw the message notification. I logged onto the messaging system that Verizon uses and have signed in under her number and name. There are at least 15,000 that date back to February of last year. Messages, memes, flirty pics, and some X-rated ones too. She stopped texting him this way about 3 months ago. Didn't stop texting him, but stopped using the message app through Verizon. I'm guessing they switched to the Snapchat because it's discreet. I'm not on any social media in any way, shape, or form. I am clueless. I just figured out that you can't log into Snapchat through Facebook. But it just takes an email and password. And she has used this Chromebook to do that. Hell, she used it just 3 nights ago, lying in bed next to me rubbing my back while I went to sleep. She messaged him and sexted him lying next to me that it's a younger man from work. He is married and has 3 young children. He and his wife have Facebook. I've met him twice. Shook his fucking hand that I'm at a complete loss again and have paced/wandered my house that I custom built for her for hours that I almost can't feel anything. What little that I am processing is just white hot rage. I logged on Snapchat and there it all was. I have called my best friend who has been divorced 3 times. Don't get me started on his partner picker. He recommended a vicious lawyer. I plan on recording/saving everything. There's pics of them fucking. I'm sure her phone or his has video that I desperately want this to be a bad dream. She said terrible things about me. She's told him my insecurities. She's told him, "I love you." They have made no long-term plans, so this feels like a purely sexual relationship. It almost makes it better, but also makes it so much worse. Like she's literally throwing away our life for this. She knows cheating is an absolute deal breaker for me. Our usual routine on the day she leaves for her meetings is I take her to the airport and drop her off with a long goodbye. I can't even think about what I have to do now. My friend says print out the entire thing and see if I can recover things from Snapchat. From what I understand, I can't. Unless I have her phone. My plan is to see the lawyer today. I'm paying a ridiculous amount to jump in her appointment line, get the ball rolling, and hopefully have a plan of action from her. I really want to book a flight and follow my wife to the hotel she's staying at and catch her in the act that I have access to her hotel booking options and have put myself as a contact person so I can get a room key without alerting her. I think I'm just going to log onto the messaging apps when I get into town and watch it happen in real time. If I could get the papers ready in time, I'd hand them to her. Instead, I'm just going to hand her the printouts. It's a 600-page PDF. His wife accepted my friend request. I am debating sending everything now. I am seething. I just don't want to lose any advantage. I'm going to fly there Monday afternoon, log in and see what they've talked about, get a room key to my wife's room, and drop off the package in her room with my wedding ring. I'm going to sit in the bar and watch my phone blow up. I'm going to call the AP and tell him to meet me in the lobby/bar and to bring my wife down. Then tell him that a similar package has been sent certified mail to his home address to his wife, as well as a Facebook message that I plan on hitting send on as I tell him. It feels petty and weak. I want to rage and scream, but I'm helpless. This morning all I could do was give her a peck on the cheek goodbye, I really can't stand to look her in the eye. I somehow have to get through the weekend that I guess I'm asking. Is my spiteful, hate-fueled plan worth it? I just want to inflict pain at this point. I want to hurt her emotionally. I feel eviscerated, emasculated. I will not entertain an apology. This is the one act that is unforgivable. It takes so many steps to cheat on someone. They all can be stopped until the sin is complete. Then it is done. Should I just confront her tonight? Or catch her? I don't think I'll update. I'm truly thinking about never using social media again, and only being with a partner that has a similar outlook moving forward. ETA. I found this special toy. Keep in mind we have a chest full of adult fun devices. It was already in her carry-on. It's one of those remote control vibrators. The ones that can be controlled by an app. It looks expensive. I meet with the lawyer in 90 minutes. Update. I have no clue how to post an update. I'm just editing my post. I met with the lawyer. She was actually kind, and I dare say compassionate with me. She told me point blank that her job was to represent me in this fight for my future, and my job in all of this was to tell her the complete truth and not make her job harder. I went to Kinko's and printed the file out. Cost $534 for color because I wanted to have the pictures pop. Shout out to Chris at Kinko's for not making a scene when the nudes started coming out. He asked what it was all about, so I told him. He was taken aback, but shook my hand and said sorry. I went home and crashed for about 3 hours, and SDBXW came home around 19:30, usual time. Lawyer said to forget any Hollywood confrontation in a hotel bar, that it would look pretty crazy and not becoming at all. So I'm sorry to all of those people that wanted the high drama. She's right ultimately. There's 2 routes to take with divorce, contested or non-contested. She said I would have to notify my SDBXW that I have retained counsel, and in order to proceed, my SDBXW would have to either contest the divorce or we would go through mediation and file from there. So she got home about 2 hours ago. I asked her if there was anything going on that she wanted to talk about. She said nothing other than the election. She then asked what was bothering me. I wanted to cry, but truthfully I was cried out. I said I was curious as to why she had a remote control vibrator in her luggage. The look on her face was actually more telling than anything I've ever seen. She looked panicked, pale. She began to breathe faster, sweat. I asked why she would have something like that. Who had the code and the app to it? She stammered, and the tears began. As I pulled out my 3 file folders worth of text exchanges, I asked if the AP's wife would have it. She cried and pleaded that she could explain. I said she had 5 minutes to do it. Of course she couldn't. I told her what my attorney told me to tell her. I also told her to leave. She screamed it was her house too. I calmly told her that may be, but I would be notifying everyone about her affair and betrayal. That even the girls will know. Or she can leave now and find living arrangements for the time being. Hell, she'll be at her work conference for a week. She was speechless. I calmly pulled up Facebook and showed her the AP's wife. I said, do you want me to tell her, or are you going to do it right now? Tears and moaning and pleading with I love you. And it wasn't supposed to go this far. Then my favorite, you can't do this. I said, well, it looks like I'm doing it, as I sent the AP's wife a message with the file of their escapades on it. I prefaced it with apologies and a brief explanation. I haven't heard back from her. I leafed through the stacks of paper and started reading random excerpts out loud to my SDBXW. I just wish we could spend the day attached to each other. Just you inside of me. You feel so much more intense than any other woman I've ever been with. She is still sobbing and asking to talk about us. She says our marriage can withstand her mistake. I told her I would never forgive her. Her word is shit, and that she threw away the last 17 years, that I'm still entertaining the whole tell HR thing, and I am going to tell everyone about her decision to end our marriage by cheating. Thank you to everyone who responded. I feel bad I couldn't respond to all the PMs and responses. I have a therapy appointment scheduled Tuesday. I kind of feel extremely elated. I'm shaking and incredibly low right now. I kind of want to die. The house is pretty quiet except for her crying and moaning. I told her to not come back after her trip. I'm currently sending friend requests and trying to get everyone on my page. I'm just going to send it to everyone that. Wait out, I am going to wait until the morning to call the girls. I raised them from when they were 11 and 6. They are women now, 28 and 23. I don't know what to tell them or how to handle them. AITA for squaring up with my son and disowning him after his girlfriend comes to me and tells me that he's been hitting her. Asterisk people of Reddit, I need some advice and judgment that I 49 am a single father of 3 children. My wife passed away of cancer when my oldest was 13. It was very difficult for me to raise them. I would work 12 to 16-hour shifts and would not be home most of the time. I was thankful that my kids were strong and independent. That I would like to give a little background on myself. I grew up in an abusive household. My dad would physically abuse my mom and also beat my siblings and me. I have 4 younger siblings, 3 of them being girls. I was the oldest and would try to take the beatings for them. When I was old enough and strong enough, I squared up against my father. I did so as many times as I needed to. I never let him put his hands on them. My father ended up going to prison for battery, and we moved states. That my kids' current ages are 24M, 21F, 17F. My daughters still live with me since they are going to college, but my son has moved out and made his life. My son has gotten a girlfriend, and I have met her. She is a sweet, loving, and soft-natured girl, and I genuinely like her. She reminds me of my wife when she was younger. I invite my son and his girlfriend over for lunch and dinners quite often. They have now been dating for 3 years, and she would sometimes come over and help my daughters out with college stuff or just come over to hang out with them. I love her as family and have told her so. 4 weeks ago, she came over, and when I opened the door, the first thing I saw was that she had a busted lip and a black eye, and her eyes seemed to be dyed in blood. I immediately took her in and helped her. My daughters were also alarmed when they saw her, and when we asked her what happened, she told us that my son was the one who did it to her. I cried at hearing that, and I hugged her and begged her for my forgiveness. She told us all about it and apologized for not telling us sooner. This wasn't the first time he had hit her. I've asked her if she has told her parents or the cops, and she said that we were the first people she felt like going to. I cried. I reassured her that she was safe there and not to worry. I asked my daughters to clean up a spare bedroom for her as she would be staying. That I cannot describe how I was feeling, but you guys can imagine it. I spent hours just staring at the black TV screen, looking at my reflection. A few days after she came to us, I invited my son over for dinner. I had her consent and knowledge to do so first. My son came over, and I instructed my daughters to keep her in their rooms and to pretend they weren't there. When my son knocked on my door and I saw him again, I felt sick and my blood boiled, but I kept my composure and we sat down to eat. I kept looking at his hands and knuckles, and there were faint scrapes and marks. I asked my son basic questions, trying to seem normal and nice. But the whole time I didn't see him as my son anymore. I saw him as my father, and I didn't like that feeling. He acted normal until I asked him how everything was with his girlfriend, and he choked on his food for a moment and told me, "Everything is fine. She's just busy with work, and I haven't seen her in a while." I just nodded and said, "Oh, that's nice. Glad she's doing okay." We finished eating, and I washed the dishes. I stood right next to him and asked why he was beating his girlfriend. I said, "I think it's about time you stop bullshitting me about your girlfriend." He asked me what I was talking about, and I told him to stand up and put his hands up. I knew everything, and I was going to show him what it's like to be the weaker person. Before he could say another word, I swung at him, told him that this was the real deal, that I did not hold back. I was going to teach my son what it feels like to get beat, since he thought it was okay. I told him to keep his hands up and to defend himself. We fought, but I, of course, was going to be the last one standing. I asked him how it felt to be weak, to be on the other end of it. He told me to stop, but I asked him if he stopped when she begged him to. I didn't stop beating him until his girlfriend came downstairs and screamed at me to stop. He looked horrified at seeing her. I told him that he was lucky she didn't tell her dad, because her dad would have made him bury his own grave. He was lucky no one told the cops, because people in jail or prison aren't fond of men who beat women. That he was lucky I was not putting him down like the animal he is. That I told him how disgusting I felt being the father of a man who beats his girlfriend. That he was no longer part of this family, and to get the fuck out of my house. That he was a disappointment to everyone in this house. Seeing how I left him reminded me of how she came to me. I tossed him some napkins and told him to clean himself up on the way to whatever shithole he came from. I cried once he limped out of the front door. I told his girlfriend that moving forward was her choice, and I would support her. If she chose to stay here, she was more than welcome to. But if she chose to continue her relationship with him, then I would be doing random welfare checks. I told her how sorry I was that something so horrible happened to her, and that it was my fault. That it has been a few weeks since the fight. I didn't realize I had a broken nose, but that is okay. She chose to end the relationship with him, and she has been staying with us. I feel like shit. I keep seeing the red stains on the couch and carpet, and I keep asking myself if I did the right thing, if there were other options. I no longer had a son, and that hurt me. I do not know if I did the right thing. I've just been staring at my reflection on the TV. Asterisk, there were a lot of comments, and many questions were asked. One in particular that I found very interesting, and even showed my daughters, was what would have been my plan if my son won. My daughters have instructed me to quote, the great Kanye. I guess we'll never know. I'm not sure if that's the saying, but I got that out the way now. There were a lot of you guys who recommended I reach out to my son, so I did. Yesterday, we agreed that I would go over to his apartment. I told my daughters and the ex that I would be going today to their brother's place. I asked the ex if she wanted me to grab some small things that she left over there. I went over to his place at 8 in the morning so we could get it out of the way as soon as we could. He shook my hand, but he kept his gaze low. His injuries seemed to be fine and were healing up nicely. He led me into his apartment, and it was pretty messy. There were a lot of trash bags piled up, and some of the walls had little dents in them. I mention this because I mentioned that I saw scrape marks on his hands earlier. That we made small talk first, and then I brought up the idea of attending therapy, but he shot me down. I told him that we needed to talk about his ex and his actions. He said, I'm guessing she told you everything, right? I told him yes and asked him for the entire truth. It pretty much went like this. He lost his job 8 months ago after a huge layoff and was struggling with the bills, so his ex had to cover for him. He felt like a loser compared to her because of it. He couldn't find a job, and when she asked him about it, he snapped at her for trying to help him. That's pretty much how it started. After that, he just found it easy to smack her every time. He felt less than her, or if she made him look bad. I asked him a lot of questions, some vague, some detailed, but for the most part, it confirmed every story his ex had told us. So she wasn't lying to us. I told him that I was sorry I didn't hear him out at first, but that it was probably for the better that I didn't know the pathetic reasons he had for doing what he did. He did not apologize back or show any signs that he was remorseful for what he did. We continued to talk about it, and things got very heated. He kept on making excuses for himself and trying to justify what he did. I told him under no conditions was it okay for him to beat his girlfriend. Just because life got hard for him and things weren't going his way, it does not excuse his shitty actions. My son stood up and asked me why I couldn't have his back or take his side. I got up and asked him, in what way was I supposed to have your side? I would in no way support his actions, that he was full of shit for even having the audacity to think I would support him beating his girlfriend. Each time I tried to give him advice or anything related to self-improving, he would get angry. Things continued to escalate, and I told him that unless he got his life and himself under control, he was not allowed near his sisters or my home. He continued to say that even now I only cared for his ex and not him. I told him to not play the poor victim and that he made his bed and now he has to lay in it. He cannot continue to blame others for his actions, much less think it was okay to do what he did. He was no longer a child, but a grown man who made his choices. That every choice had its consequences. That I asked him for his ex's things, and he told me that he broke them and showed me where they were. They were indeed smashed into pieces. I told him again how ashamed I was of him for being like this and told him that he needed to get help, that he needed to take control of his life again and needed to change. If he continued to act and do things like this, he will end up in jail or dead, that he had to pull himself together for his sake. He told me to go fuck myself, and so I did. I picked up his ex's broken things and put them in a bag before I left. Since then, my son has been texting me nasty things, and my daughters have also told me that he has been asking them where his ex is, claiming he wants to see her. My siblings came over this weekend for a cookout I was hosting. My son wasn't invited. I told my family about the situation, and they all agreed that my son turned out to be more like our father. We joked that we always expected one of the guys to be his replica, my brother and I. We all shared our crappiest experiences with our father, and we answered more questions about our childhood to the ex and my daughters. That my mom spent most of the time with the ex and my daughters talking about the dangers of men and whatnot. I thought it was ironic, but it is my mom, and I can't say none to her even though I am 49. I couldn't even tell her to stop telling my daughters about how much trouble me and my brother used to cause. A couple of hours into the cookout, the women were in the living room doing their thing while we guys were working in the garage fixing one of the cars. We heard loud banging, and my sisters were yelling at us to get in there because some drunk guy was trying to kick down the door. It was my son. It wasn't too hard to realize that it was him because he was yelling the ex's name and yelling at her to open the door and to stop being a B word. I told the women to just get away from the door. I opened the door and shoved him out of the door when he tried to force himself in. I told him to get the fuck away from the door and to stop acting like an idiot or else someone was going to call the cops on him. I told him that he was not allowed near the house. He just told me to shut up and to let him see her. I told him that under no circumstances would he be allowed near any of the women, let alone his ex. To leave because he was drunk, and I offered to call an Uber for him since I didn't want him to drive drunk. My brother-in-law came out to see what was happening, and my son ended up throwing a beer bottle at him. Not the best accuracy since it hit the window. My son just kept on getting aggressive and violent and started to approach me. The whole time he was just yelling at me to let him see her and that he wanted to talk, but only to her. His tantrum lasted about 10 minutes until the ex peeked out the window, which resulted in him yelling, "Bitch, I knew you were in there," and another beer bottle being thrown again. But this time it was accurate, and it almost gave her a few facial scars with the broken glass from the window. My brother came out at that point, and we both stood in front of him and told him to leave, or we would and call the police or knock him the fuck out if he continued to pose a threat to us. Long story short, my son lunged at us. It was a whole ordeal and a public show. My brother held him in a chokehold until he was knocked out. My mom came out phone in hand and dialed 911. The police took a while and got there here in 20 minutes. We just sat on our son until they arrived and explained the whole thing to them. Everyone gave their statements, and I gave the police the Ring camera video as further proof. My son was put in cuffs and taken away. Thank you to everyone who suggested cameras. The ex is okay, and so is everyone else. The women, except my mom, were shaken up. We went back inside and cleaned everything else up, and it was awkward, but we moved on from the incident. My mom was mad that I even allowed him to throw the second bottle. My brother and I went outside and talked about my son and our father. He asked me if maybe I should have let my son see her, or at least let him say his piece to her. It was a stupid question, and he knew that, but it got me thinking. What if he wanted to apologize? What if he was there to reconcile, but I again escalated it? It's a stupid question, but I would like some outside opinions. I have not visited my son yet, even though it has been 2 days since I saw him get put inside a cop car. Asterisk, as everyone knows, my son got arrested for the scene he caused a couple of days ago. My mother stayed with me and my family while everyone else left to go home. I have fixed both windows that my son broke and have made sure to fix the door because he sort of damaged the hinges. It has been a rough few days, and it has been hard on me. My daughters have visited their brother in jail for me, and they have told me that he looks like a total mess. The ex has told me that she would like to go see how he is doing, and I agreed to it. Yesterday, we went to visit him, and he did look terrible. I let his ex talk to him first for a few minutes while I talked to the officers in charge of his case. He was being charged trespassing, drunk and disorderly, battery, damage to property, possession of illegal narcotics, and a few other charges. It was not fun hearing that your son was going to be locked up for a while. As I waited for the ex to finish talking, I thought a lot about what I would say to him, or if I should say anything at all. If I should even show myself to him. It was just very conflicting. When the ex came out, she looked very sad and heartbroken. I didn't ask what they spoke about. I walked in, and he looked very angry to see me. I sat down and asked him how he was doing. We had a basic conversation, but it was going nowhere. I told him that I never wanted to see him locked up or be in this situation. I tried to explain how hurt I was, but he just asked me if I was going to get him out because it was bullshit, and I don't deserve to be in here. I tried to be patient and let him talk, but all he was saying was arrogant, ignorant, and stupid. I explained to him that I was only here to see him one last time and that I wasn't going to lift a finger to help him. He got angry and started cussing at me. I told him that he chose this and that his actions had consequences. He started to blame me for his arrest, and I snapped at him. I told him that he could not live his pathetic life blaming his actions and choices on others, and that he needed to stop being a pathetic POS. Even after I gave him a reality check and tried to show him humility, even after I tried to offer him help and support, he chose to continue being a terrible person. It got quiet after I snapped at him, and he apologized to me. He told me that he was sorry for what he did, but I told him that it was too late for him to apologize. He started to tear up, but I told him to stop with the poor victim play. He got angry at me and told me the same thing he told me the other time, that I never chose his side and that it was my fault, that I told him that his grandpa was the same way, always blaming others for his shit and taking out his feelings and failures on the people he loves. I told him the same thing I told my father when he got locked away, that he was just a filthy animal who deserved to be locked up. Everyone in the family will forget that he exists and move on and be happy without him. I will probably retire. His sisters will move out and on with their lives and have their own families. His ex will move on from the horrible experience that he was. The world will continue to spin while he is here locked up. Everyone will move on with their lives. He just sat there quietly with tears running down his face. I felt terrible seeing him like that, but it is what it is. The last thing I told him was that he was officially disowned and that I would be getting a restraining order, that he was no longer my son and to forget about me and his family. He told me that I can go fuck myself before I left. When we got home, I just went straight to the garage and continued to work on my car. I didn't want to speak to anyone. I'm guessing the pressure of the situation finally got to me. Now I'm just typing this as a sort of distraction. I will go to his hearing. I do not know how to feel. I know what I said to him was shitty, and it makes me sad to think that those might be the last words he will ever hear from me. I'm guessing that is what I wanted to ask ATA. Hello everyone. I would like to apologize first for not responding to everyone's comments and to some people's DMs. I've been pretty busy with life and a lot has happened. Thank you to everyone who has shown support and have commented very nice. Things that I would like to start off by saying that my daughters are doing excellent. A bit sad after the court hearing, but they are handling it well. I spoke with the ex's family about what had happened and have made peace with them. I think they, like me, not sure. The handshake was extra firm from the father. Her injuries have healed up nicely, and so have mine. My nose ain't funny shaped anymore. Yes, she decided to stay under my wing for a bit longer. My mother has been very much a thorn in my side ever since the incident, which is fine and all. I'll probably make another AITA post asking on advice about it. I have been feeling down and lazy. I wanted to get out, smell the roses, see something nice. You know what I mean? My son's hearing was a couple weeks ago, and everyone attended, including me, despite everything I have said or felt or done. I know I cannot explain my feelings or thought process well, but I had to be there. It was one of the saddest experiences in my life. As much as I hate what my son became, I still loved him, and hearing him get sentenced for 12 years for illegal drug possession and assault, and many other charges, was not easy. I took a short break from everything just to give me time to deflate. I went on a camping trip with all my daughters. I thought it was fun, almost got mauled by a bear, but that's part of the fun. I became hood certified, according to my daughters, over the food I made on the grill. I'm going to be honest. I do not know what that means, but it sounds like they liked the food. That I have many regrets about how I handled the whole situation now that time has passed and the fog in my head was cleared. I did so many things wrong and did so many unnecessary things, said shit that no father should ever tell his son. I make no excuses for my actions. I fucked up and I will live with my choices. I hope and pray that in the future I will be a better man, and so will my son. I want to forgive him. I want him to forgive me. I want his sisters to forgive him. I just want my whole family back. But like everything, life is unpredictable, but I stay optimistic. A lot of people shot me personal DMs, and I have read all of them. For those who I haven't replied to, sorry, I got very shy from how nice you guys were. My daughters have been skimming the topic of me dating again. I thought it was sweet, but I already had and loved a woman. No one can replace her. I miss her. She probably would have smacked the shit out of me and told me off. Man, I fucking miss you, Lizzie. Life has been tough without you, but I've managed to raise a good, strong family. You have lovely and strong daughters. They are doing well and are making their own path in life. Wish you were here to see it. My 41F husband, 42M, of 20 years had an affair with my 41F childhood best friend. Our son, 15M, knew and helped them hide it. Asterisk, I'm writing this from my friend Emily's guest room. The sheets smell like lavender and fabric softener, a scent that's supposed to be calming, but my hands are shaking so much I can barely hold my phone steady. It's been 3 days since my world was not just shattered, but systematically dismantled by the 3 people I trusted most on this earth. My husband, my best friend, and my son. 20 years. We were married for 20 years. James and I were A cornerstone. The couple that made it. We met in a dusty university lecture hall. I was a frantic, disorganized art history major. He was a calm, methodical engineering student. He saw me drop my entire portfolio of notes, sending papers flying everywhere, and instead of just walking by, he knelt down and helped me pick up every single one. He organized them by date and handed them back to me with a smile that I can still see when I close my eyes. That was James, my rock, my calm in the storm. Our love story was built on quiet moments, studying together in the library, long walks where we planned our future, renovating our first tiny apartment with more enthusiasm than skill. We got married at 21, kids ourselves, but we were sure we were going to build an empire of love and family. And we did. We had Leo, our thoughtful, serious son, and then 5 years later, Maya, our little spark of sunshine. And through it all, there was Chloe, my Chloe. We'd known each other since we were 6. We learned to braid hair on each other's dolls. We shared every secret, every heartbreak. She was the maid of honor at my wedding, the godmother to my children. She wasn't just a friend, she was the sister I'd chosen. When she married a great guy and moved just 2 blocks away, it felt like a dream come true. Our families were intertwined. Our kids grew up together. James and Chloe had a fun, teasing, brother-sister dynamic. I loved it. It felt so whole, so complete. The signs that something was wrong started over a year ago. They were like a low hum in the background of my life, a frequency I could feel but couldn't quite place. James started guarding his phone like it was a state secret. He, a man who used to leave it lying around for days, suddenly had a new, complex password and took it with him even to the bathroom. Work stuff, he'd say. Confidential emails. I was a fool who believed him. Then came the work dinners and late projects. They became more frequent. He'd come home smelling faintly of a perfume that wasn't mine. Once, I commented on it. Oh, must have been from Karen in accounting. She practically bathes in the stuff. He laughed it off so easily. And I let him. Because the alternative was unthinkable, Chloe started to drift away, too. Our weekly coffee dates became harder to schedule. She was always busy, always had a last-minute conflict. When we were together, she couldn't meet my eyes. She'd fidget and change the subject if I talked about James. I thought she was stressed from work. I thought maybe she and her husband were having problems. I even asked her if everything was okay, offering a shoulder to cry on. She just gave me a tight, brittle smile and said, "Everything's fine, Sarah. Just busy." My intuition was screaming. There were nights I'd lie awake with a cold knot of dread in my stomach, a feeling of deep unease I couldn't explain. I'd watch James sleep and feel like I was looking at a stranger. But in the morning, he'd kiss me goodbye and tell me he loved me, and I would push the feeling down. I chose to believe in the life we had built, not the whispers of my own gut. The most painful sign, the one that I see now, was a giant, waving red flag, was my son, Leo. He'd always been a quiet kid, but he became almost silent. He was sullen and angry, especially with me. He became incredibly defensive of his dad. If I questioned James about being late, Leo would jump in. "Mom, leave him alone. He works hard for us." He'd give me these looks, a mixture of pity and resentment that I couldn't understand. I thought it was teenage rebellion. I tried talking to him, getting him into therapy. I never, in my worst nightmares, imagined the truth. The truth came from Emily, another close friend. She called me on Tuesday, her voice shaking. She asked to meet for coffee and refused to say why over the phone. I sat across from her in a noisy cafe, and she slid her phone across the table. "I am so sorry, Sarah," she whispered. "I saw this last weekend. I didn't know what to do." It was a photo. James and Chloe. They were at a little outdoor cafe in a town an hour away, a place they had no reason to be. He was holding her hand across the table, but it was the way he was looking at her. The same look he gave me on our wedding day. It was a look of pure adoration. And then Emily showed me the messages. Her husband is a partner at the same law firm as Chloe's, and in a group chat, Chloe's husband had been venting his suspicions for weeks. He'd found receipts, seen things. He'd sent screenshots to Emily's husband. There it was. A second life. Hotel bookings. Pet names. They talked about me. "She's so wrapped up in the kids, she doesn't see a thing," one of James's texts read. "It's almost sad." Chloe's were worse. She criticized my parenting, my clothes, my life. The very life she was a part of. I drove home in a daze. I confronted James that evening. He tried to lie, of course, for about 30 seconds. When I showed him the photo, the facade crumbled. He started with the cliches. It just happened. I never meant to hurt you. I was confused. But then I asked the question that had been burning in my mind. How did you do this? How did you hide this for so long? He didn't answer. He just looked down. And in that moment, Leo walked into the room. He took one look at my face, at his father's, and he knew. His face went pale. Leo, I said, my voice barely a whisper. Did you know? He started to cry. A silent, heartbreaking stream of tears. Dad said he was going to end it. He mumbled, refusing to look at me. He said you were in a bad place and that the truth would destroy you. He made me promise not to tell. He said I was protecting you. He wasn't protecting me. James had used our son as a human shield. He'd burdened our 15-year-old child with a secret that would break a grown man, forcing him to lie to his own mother every single day. He made my son complicit in my own destruction. That was it. That was the moment. Love turned to ash. I packed a bag for myself and Maya and left. I called Chloe. She sobbed, an endless stream of I'm sorries. I told her that she was dead to me, that our 25 years of friendship were over. Then I hung up and blocked her number. Now I'm here, in this quiet, lavender-scented room, trying to figure out what's next. My life, as I knew it, is over. My marriage is a lie. My best friendship was a fraud. And my relationship with my son is fractured in a way I don't know how to fix. I have to look at him and see not just my child, but the gatekeeper of my husband. My 42F husband, 43M, of 20 years was having an affair with our protege, 25F. I found out because our daughter, 16F, accidentally exposed the secret financial life he built for them. Asterisk, I'm writing this from the leather armchair in my home office at 3 a.m. This room used to be my sanctuary, the command center for the business my husband and I built from nothing. Now, it's a crime scene. The evidence of my life's great unraveling is spread across the mahogany desk. Bank statements, credit card bills, and a single, soul-destroying photograph. I haven't slept in 72 hours. Sleep is a luxury for people who aren't haunted. For 20 years, my identity was intertwined with Mark's. We weren't just husband and wife. We were Mark and Kate, a single entity, the co-founders of a successful architectural firm, the parents of 2 beautiful children, the couple everyone pointed to as making it work. We were a lie that we met in a disaster zone. Literally. After college, we both signed up for a volunteer program to rebuild homes in a hurricane-ravaged area. I was a budding architect with big ideas. He was a pragmatic structural engineer who could turn my sketches into reality. We spent 3 months covered in sweat and sawdust, living on cheap beer and a shared dream of building things that last. We fell in love over blueprints and under mosquito nets. He was the calm to my chaos, the logic to my creative whims. We were a perfect team that we came back to the States and poured everything we had into starting our own firm. The first few years were a blur of 100-hour work weeks, living on instant noodles, and a level of exhaustion I'd never known. But we were doing it together. We got married, had our daughter, Olivia, and then our son, Ryan. Our business grew. Alongside our family, we became one of the most respected firms in the city. We had built it, an empire of glass, steel, and what I thought was unshakable trust. The other woman wasn't a stranger. Her name is Jessica. I hired her myself. She came to us 3 years ago, a brilliant, ambitious graduate from our alma mater, with a portfolio. That blew me away. She was a younger version of me, full of fire and raw talent. We took her under our wing. Mark became her mentor. I saw it as a good thing, him passing on his knowledge. They'd spend hours huddled over designs, their dynamic. Professional, almost paternal. I encouraged it. I was proud of the culture we'd built. The ground began to shift under my feet about a year ago, but the tremors were so faint I convinced myself it was just the earth settling. Mark became distant. He chalked it up to the stress of a big project. And I accepted it. We were both stressed. But his stress felt different. It was secretive. He started taking late-night site inspections that he never used to do alone. He bought a new laptop and a new phone, claiming it was for enhanced client security. My intuition was a quiet, insistent voice that I learned to ignore. There were so many little things, so many moments that felt wrong. There was the time I found a receipt in his pocket for a ridiculously expensive dinner for two at a restaurant he claimed he hated. It was a client meeting. Kate, you know I have to do these things, he'd sighed, making me feel like I was nagging him. There were the sudden business trips to conferences I'd never heard of. He'd come back energized, but emotionally unavailable. There was the way Jessica started avoiding my gaze in meetings. The way she'd blush when Mark paid her a compliment. I told myself she was just a young woman in awe of her boss. I told myself I wasn't the jealous type. The most painful part was Olivia. Our daughter, usually a smart, independent girl, became her father's shadow and his fiercest defender. At 16, she was old enough to see things, and she did. But she chose a side. If I questioned Mark about his schedule, Olivia would intervene with a sharp, "Mom, Dad's the boss. He has to work." She started helping him out at the office on weekends, which I thought was a great initiative. I never imagined she wasn't filing papers. She was providing cover. The discovery wasn't a single, dramatic moment. It was a slow, sickening dawning that started with a number. I handle our company's finances. 2 weeks ago, I was reviewing our quarterly expenses and found a recurring payment I didn't recognize. A monthly wire transfer of several $1,000s to a holding company I'd never heard of. It was coded as consultant fees. When I asked Mark about it, he was dismissive. "It's a new structural consultant for the waterfront project. Don't worry about it." But I did worry. It felt wrong. So I did what I do best. I dug. I used my resources to find out who owned the holding company. The name meant nothing to me. But the company's registered address was a luxury apartment building downtown. My blood ran cold. I kept digging. I got access to the detailed expense reports for the company credit card he used for travel. The hotel rooms were always booked for two. The restaurant receipts were always for two. And then I found it. A charge from a high-end jewelry store. A diamond necklace. The date of the purchase was Jessica's birthday. I still wanted to be wrong. I prayed I was wrong. The final confirmation came from the most innocent of sources, our family cloud server, where we automatically back up all our photos. I was looking for a picture of Ryan for his soccer team, and I saw a folder I didn't recognize, uploaded from Olivia's laptop. It was titled University Projects. Curiosity got the better of me. I opened it. There were no school projects. It was a collection of photos, dozens of them. Mark and Jessica, in a hotel room in Chicago, clinking champagne glasses. On a beach in Miami, his arm around her. Under the Christmas lights in the city square, kissing. And there, around her neck in the most recent photo, was the diamond necklace. My daughter had saved the evidence of her father's affair on our family server. The confrontation was quiet. I didn't scream. I walked into our living room, where Mark was watching TV, and I laid a single photograph on the coffee table in front of him. The one of him and Jessica kissing. He didn't even try to lie. The arrogance drained from his face, replaced by a pathetic panic. The usual excuses followed. It wasn't supposed to happen. I was going to end it. "I still love you." Then I had to face Olivia. I sat her down in her bedroom, the room I had painted for her, surrounded by photos of our once happy family. I asked her one question. "Did you know?" The way she crumbled is an image that will be burned into my memory forever. She confessed through her tears. She had seen a text on her dad's phone almost a year ago. She confronted him, and he had manipulated her. He told her that mommy and daddy were going through a rough patch, that Jessica was just a friend, but that if I found out, my heart would break, our family would fall apart, and the company we built would fail. He made our child believe that her silence was an act of love, that she was protecting me by helping him lie.so. Here I am, in the ruins. I fired Jessica yesterday. I had security escort her out of the building we designed. Together, I have initiated divorce proceedings. Mark has moved out. Our business, our shared dream, is now a war zone of lawyers and assets to be divided. And my relationship with my daughter is in tatters. She is consumed by a guilt that was placed on her by the father she adored. We are in therapy, but I don't know how a daughter unlearns a betrayal like that. I don't know how a mother forgives it. I didn't just lose a husband. I lost my partner, my business, and in a way, I lost my child, too. All too. Hello, everyone. I would like to apologize first for not responding to everyone's comments and to some people's DMs. I've been pretty busy with life, and a lot has happened. Thank you to everyone who has shown support and have commented very nice. Things that I would like to start off by saying that my daughters are doing excellent. A bit sad after the court hearing, but they are handling it well. I spoke with the ex's family about what had happened and have made peace with them. I think they, like me, not sure. The handshake was extra firm from the father. Her injuries have healed up nicely, and so have mine. My nose ain't funny shaped anymore. Yes, she decided to stay under my wing for a bit longer. My mother has been very much a thorn in my side ever since the incident, which is fine and all. I'll probably make another AITA post asking on advice about it. I have been feeling down and lazy. I wanted to get out, smell the roses, see something nice. You know what I mean? My son's hearing was a couple weeks ago, and everyone attended, including me, despite everything I have said or felt or done. I know I cannot explain my feelings or thought process well, but I had to be there. It was one of the saddest experiences in my life. As much as I hate what my son became, I still loved him, and hearing him get sentenced for 12 years for illegal drug possession and assault, and many other charges, was not easy. I took a short break from everything just to give me time to deflate. I went on a camping trip with all my daughters. I thought it was fun, almost got mauled by a bear, but that's part of the fun. I became hood certified, according to my daughters, over the food I made on the grill. I'm going to be honest. I do not know what that means, but it sounds like they liked the food. That I have many regrets about how I handled the whole situation now that time has passed and the fog in my head was cleared. I did so many things wrong and did so many unnecessary things, said shit that no father should ever tell his son. I make no excuses for my actions. I fucked up and I will live with my choices. I hope and pray that in the future I will be a better man, and so will my son. I want to forgive him. I want him to forgive me. I want his sisters to forgive him. I just want my whole family back. But like everything, life is unpredictable, but I stay optimistic. A lot of people shot me personal DMs, and I have read all of them. For those who I haven't replied to, sorry, I got very shy from how nice you guys were. My daughters have been skimming the topic of me dating again. I thought it was sweet, but I already had and loved a woman. No one can replace her. I miss her. She probably would have smacked the shit out of me and told me off. Man, I fucking miss you, Lizzie. Life has been tough without you, but I've managed to raise a good, strong family. You have lovely and strong daughters. They are doing well and are making their own path in life. Wish you were here to see it. Found wife of 9 years in bed with another man after she forgot to pick up our daughter from her cousin's house. Asterisk, I feel like I'm going crazy or something because she's so calm and acting like nothing happened. Yesterday, I was at an event in the morning to celebrate the employees who've worked at the company I own. I have worked hard to provide both my wife and daughter with a better life. That we both married young and were raised in a rough neighborhood. We had our daughter young and graduated high school the same year our daughter was born. It was rough at the beginning. I worked a lot and went to school, and maybe in some aspects I neglected her and should have been more present, but when I would also cook, clean, and take my daughter with me as a newborn to school or work. Anyways, yesterday, I get a call at this event from my wife's cousin, and she's annoyed cause my wife didn't pick up our daughter at the time she said she would. I was surprised cause that didn't sound like her, and then immediately drove over to pick up my daughter. Before leaving, I checked my wife's location, and it looked like it was turned off. I brushed it off and thought it was the signal messing up because our area doesn't always have the best since it's tucked in the hills. My daughter was tired, so when we got home, she went straight to bed. I went upstairs and heard another man's voice, and my heart sank to my stomach. When I opened the door, I saw both of them. It looked like they were trying to hide under the bed, but failed. That I threw him out the house quietly so my daughter wouldn't see. Since then, I've been sleeping in the guest room. My wife says that I'd be stupid to file for a divorce cause our daughter would see me as a deadbeat who left her and her mom, and that I worked too much, and it's my fault she was with that man. I think she's partially right. I have always worked a lot, and this month was so hectic that we haven't been intimate, but it's always been for her and for our family. I'm just so torn that it's driving me crazy that she keeps on saying that I'm overreacting and that this kind of thing is normal in marriage, and I don't know. This kind of thing never crossed my mind. Update. Thank you everyone for the love and advice this post got. I am talking to lawyers. She is being kicked out, and I am keeping custody of my daughter. My family betrayed me, so I got revenge in the best way possible. Around a decade ago, I, 33 am, founded a small tech startup. I put everything I had into it. Time, money, and endless nights of hard work. Slowly but surely, the company grew into a successful enterprise. I was proud of what I had built from scratch. Things were going well until my younger sister, Sarah, 29F, graduated from a prestigious business school. My parents had always favored Sarah, doting on her and showering her with praise. When she graduated, they started pushing for her to join my company. They believed she had the business acumen to take it to new heights. At first, I welcomed her involvement. It was nice having family around, and she had some innovative ideas. But things quickly took a turn. Sarah began making decisions without consulting me. She was charming and persuasive, and before I knew it, she had won over the key members of my team. Then came the ultimate betrayal. During a family dinner, my parents announced their plan to transition leadership of the company to Sarah. They felt she was better suited to lead it into the future. I was stunned. This was my company. My blood, sweat, and tears had built it, and they were trying to take it away from me. That I tried to reason with them, but they were adamant. They believed Sarah was the future of the company, and they wanted me to step aside. Hurt and betrayed, I realized I couldn't let this happen. That I started planning my next move. I knew the company inside and out, including its vulnerabilities. Quietly, I began transferring the most valuable contracts and assets to a new entity I created. I made sure all the key clients and top talent were on board with the move. One day, while Sarah and my parents were busy planning their takeover, I announced my resignation. I revealed that I had started a new company and was taking the best parts of the old one with me. They were shocked and furious, but there was nothing they could do. The groundwork had been laid perfectly. The new company flourished, and I never looked back. As for my old company, it struggled without its core team and key clients. My family's betrayal had backfired spectacularly.